one day we have to do a cut about all the ways we try and open the show that ultimately end up on the bottom of the cutting floor. A lot of work for you one day, Alex, but lads, we are back. How are you?
We are back.
Pretty
Back.
good. No, not a whole lot to complain about.
That's good.
How's school, guys?
I got a story approved that I have to write, so
You're telling us
just before the show, so that's
pretty
good.
exciting.
Yeah, it is. It's about everyone's favorite player. I won't name him though.
Brett Kulak.
Yeah, Brett Kulak. It's actually Jack Johnson and Cody Ceci, actually.
Hey, don't mention him in the same breath as Brett. He's a good analytical player.
Sorry,
good deal.
Before we start, I read a rumor that apparently Cody Ceci wants to play with Mike Matheson.
No,
all right.
I'm just gonna drop that in there. I'm just gonna drop that in there. I'm not gonna comment on it. I'm just gonna drop that into the podcast.
Okay.
Daniel, how are you?
I'm good. It's been a busy day. Went for a walk before this, so I'm refreshed. And I just haven't been sitting at the computer all day, so it felt pretty good to finally get up for a bit.
Was that a Daniel walk where you're gone for like 2 hours, or?
Yeah, those walks.
Yeah, I don't walk. I don't walk. No.
You don't see the beauties of Pickering?
Man, don't. No, there's nothing beautiful about Pickering.
No, I don't know. There's like the wharf there.
If I walk around, I'll run into my neighbors, and they all kind of suck. So.
What? Just say hey.
No, they're nosy. But anyway,
okay.
Great start.
Don't get a townhouse people because they have the stupid committees and people think they're the biggest thing because they're head of some stupid townhouse committee. This is getting deeply personal way too quickly. It is. I'm good. Yeah, guys. It's just I hate neighbors. I hate them so much. I want to be back in Montreal.
Well, not Jake Neighbors prospect. Jake Neighbors.
Oh,
wow.
St. Louis? Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. We're going to talk about the World Juniors later in the show. Maybe Jake Neighbors is going to be part of that. I don't know. But yeah, the World Juniors, that's going to be a thing, a talking point. Why not? Everyone loves the World Juniors. We'll talk about NHL 21. Talk about the Leafs. They were doing some stuff. The Blackhawks, too, they're kind of bad. Well, not really. Like, they're meh. They're mediocre.
They're, when you get the report card before and it just says, okay, or adequate.
Yeah. Well, what are those called again? I think that's a progress report.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
needs improvement.
Your attendance is satisfactory.
Yes, that is the word. That's the keyword. Satisfactory.
Their attendance in the playoffs is satisfactory.
Yeah. I had a lot of S's and N's. I had a lot of satisfaction or need for improvement.
That sounds like Adam.
Or work to improve. I remember I used to get those.
I'm just joking.
God, Jesus.
I'm just joking.
Wow. Okay. Well,
I just wanted to see if you'd hear me.
Oh yeah, I heard you all right. I have my headphones on for once. Jesus Christ. Got my Nordiques hat on, lads. Let's go. Here we go.
What? That's not Montreal.
No. It's
not the Expos. What?
No. Same kind of color scheme, except more blue than red. We should really get going. We have Daniel for a limited time. We don't have that much to talk about, so we can be a bit looser.
All right.
Loosey-goosey.
Want to talk about the Blackhawks first?
Sure. I mean, the Blackhawks have made their rebuild official. They went the Rangers route of making writing an open letter to their fan base. And I know the show tweeted about it on it. Was that you, Daniel, who made that tweet, or was that Alex?
That was me.
Yeah, I tweeted out Jonathan Toews seeing this with a surprised Pikachu face. No one liked it. Thanks, guys. But
I just haven't gotten around to it yet. I will.
Sure, yeah, because you're too busy on the podcast actually. But anyway, I mean, guys, I'm not gonna lie to you. I can't help. We're not gonna read it. You can go read it. Don't be lazy, people. That was really rude. I'm sorry. We encourage everyone to read. You should always read. It's important. Read Brian Burke's new book, Berkey's Law: Life in Hockey. I wish he sponsored this, but why not?
It's the second time we mentioned it on the show. This book.
No, I think it's the third time.
Third time? Okay.
And see, you guys, when I think about Chicago and a rebuild here, I think, if you had just committed to this retool, I would say, because if you're trading Kane and Taves, then I think if you're not, then it's more of a retool. But if they had committed to a sort of reset a few years ago, this wouldn't have been necessary, and I think they would have been contending again. It's not like they're barren. They've got prospects like Boda, like Ian Mitchell, like Bodfist, and then like the guys up front like Kubalik and Doc and DeBrincat and them. Like those aren't bad players.
Do you know what would have fixed the rebuild? Or you know what would have like just stopped it in its tracks? Not trading Artemi Panarin. Like legitimate question. If the Blackhawks did not trade Artemi Panarin for Brandon Saad, would they be in the situation they're in now?
I'm gonna have to agree with you, Alex, because I think for two things. I think they went too much. Okay, this is one thing I kind of felt. This is a team that has been contending for so long. They never had a high draft pick, or they kept trading their draft picks, and then they were literally gifted Artemi Panarin as an undrafted, like entry level deal that they were able to get him for a reasonable cap. And this is a guy that's mentioned that in the past he wanted to stay a Blackhawk. He even mentioned that he understood why he got traded because a lot of the playoff success was always with Brandon Saad. But, you know, Artemi Panarin is a foundational piece that I think that I kind of have to agree that they really did waste away with that. Like after 2017, like we kind of saw that, you know, they didn't have another impact guy coming up.
You know where I look on that lineup too? Everyone says, Panarin, and rightfully so. He was a Hart finalist this year. Though I look at the Blackhawks and I'm like, man, you guys could not just stop allowing scoring chances. And I think, man, didn't Nick Hjalmarsson really help with that? And where's Connor Murphy?
I always thought they panicked on that trade. That when you looked at the cap comparisons, it's not a really big difference. Mm-hmm. And yeah, the way they just kind of traded Nick Hjalmarsson like that, it still shocked. Like it shocked me.
So out of the guys that Adam mentioned, right? I think you mentioned DeBrincat, Boqvist, Mitchell, and Beaudin, right? Was there another guy that you mentioned?
I think that was it. I have other names, but like we all know about Doc and that. Go ahead, yeah.
All those guys, with the exception of Adam Boqvist, who was selected with the 8th overall pick, DeBrincat 39th overall, Ian Mitchell 57th overall, Beaudin 27th overall. So I don't really think, like, I think they can draft. Like, it seems like their draft record is fine. I think they just made a lot of mistakes.
Bringing back the boys, the old boys club.
Yes, yeah.
Get the band back together.
Another big thing was, like, they got gifted Kubalik.
Yeah.
On a silver plaque. He just was like, have you ever heard of this guy? No. And if anyone has, I'm calling you a liar, except Jeff Merrick. It's ridiculous. They still have the cast. I'm like, if you just get a couple, like, stable defensemen there, that, like, Jonas Brodin would be perfect there. Too bad Minnesota's got that guy locked up. Because I think they could have, divisional rival, but if I'm Minnesota and still trying to figure out what I'm doing, like, man, Brodin could have. Well, anyway. This is the big question I was thinking of earlier today, right? Okay. Do you trade Kane and Taves?
Can you?
That is the first question. Let me just double check something here, because if their salaries are high, I understand there's talent, but there's a lot of money that's going to have to be moved. Like, we think that we thought the trade between Minnesota and the Islanders was going to be complicated, right? That was the whole stopping point, is that, man, like, money has to be moved both ways. Andrew Ladd was going, like, there was a lot, it was complicated. We're talking about $10.5 million in cap. I understand the salary, like the salary here, it's $7 million this year, 6.9 for the next 2 years. That's split between signing bonuses and base salary, but that's still a lot of money to move. I think it could be moved. It's just not going to be as simple as we might think.
Mm-hmm. And I remember it was sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I remember it was Ray Ferraro on Overdrive. He kind of mentioned it where the letter kind of does soften things a bit. Like the Rangers did it when they wanted to do their rebuild and retool because they wanted to let the fans know what's kind of going on. So, every kind of move they had in a way was justified. But he mentioned how do you sell to your season ticket holders that, hey, we just traded Patrick Kane. We just traded a guy who, was one of the key pieces that resurrected the franchise, a guy that is still even now considered one of the best.
You can't.
That's fair. No. Is it easier to move Taves then? Because he's a centerman, two-way guy.
No, I think they both have extremely similar impact, and that's noticeable in the fact that they got identical contracts, like literally to the dollar in signing bonuses and salary, identical, right? So I think it's hard to. If anything, I think if you move Taves, I think there's a bigger reaction in Chicago than there is if you move Kane. That's just my opinion.
Really?
I don't know, maybe because he's your captain and all that stuff. I just justifying that. Listen, it's extremely difficult to justify both of those to your fans. And I guess to answer, what was your question? If they should? Is that what?
You really?
Can you?
If you want to take it, should go ahead.
They all have no movement clauses, right?
They do, but are we assuming that that's not an issue, or are we gonna?
Yeah, let's say that Jim Benning is like, yeah, sure, I'll make it work.
Scott.
By the way,
Scotty Bowman. You mean Scotty Bowman?
No, Jim Benning. No, let's say in a perfect trade scenario, Jim Benning is like, yo, I'll take on whatever, money, trade protections, no thing. Yeah, another. It's
okay.
Stan Bowman, by the way. Scott was the coach.
What did I say?
You said Scotty Bowman.
I apologize. I meant
worries.
Stan and
his son.
Yeah.
The guy who ruined the team.
He took it from Dale Talon, and he had the success. It's just it wasn't sustainable.
Okay, so to answer your question, if they can, is it the smartest decision financially in terms of when we get butts back in seats? No. Should they? Should they is a different question to me because I think it depends on what route you want to go. Do you want to go down we're absolutely tearing this down and our core is Buckfist, our core is DeBrincat, our core is Kubalik, our core is Strome and whoever they pick up, that's your core? Then yeah, go and get as many assets as possible there. But if you want to take a different approach, and I think Montreal, I think they're in more of a situation similar to Montreal than they are New York, because you have core guys in Montreal in Weber and Price, and in Chicago you have core guys in Taves, Kane, and Keith. I'm not gonna I'm sorry. At the moment I wouldn't include Seabrook.
He might never play again either.
Just because I don't know, it seems like he's out for the rest of ever.
He's getting ready to dress up as a ghost in a few weeks for Halloween.
Right.
That's what he is.
When I look at New York, their core pieces that they had were not the same as Montreal, were not the same as Chicago. So I feel like New York was such an odd rebuild, but they did it. Right. So I think it's more comparable to Montreal in this case. And if I'm Taves and Kane, I rather work with a retool because think about it. They have the guys. They have Kubalik. They have DeBrincat. They have Strome, Bachfist. You listed all the guys before. We don't have to go through them. Mm. I think in this case, in my opinion, you keep them and you retool.
Mm-hmm. Daniel, I imagine it's difficult for you to willingly say trade Taves because World Junior Gold medalist with Carey Price a few years ago.
Of course,
more than a decade ago.
13 years ago, 2007.
13 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know, right?
Sorry, I think I felt a few gray hairs coming there. But Daniel, what would you do? Is it right? Is it wrong? Is it
I
the right
think that I don't know. The way I see it is that, the Rangers, no matter what they were gonna do, it's the same thing, like not to the same extent, but it's the same as the Leafs. No matter what they're gonna do, they're gonna have butts in the seats, right? They're gonna have people buying the merchandise. They're gonna have people who want to kind of say like, "Hey, like it's a weird thing where it's like we know they're bad, but I'm still a fan," kind of thing. Like I think there's that mentality.
Do you think so?
I think so because I look back to the early 2000s of the Rangers, where Madison Square Garden was still having these packed seats for like a 43-year-old like Mark Messier. And the way I see the Blackhawks is I remember when they weren't contending, where they just got Kane, they just got Taves, and like their best player was Patrick Sharp. And I remember his stories talking about, hey, I had to sell tickets outside the arena, or I had to go to these things to give out tickets so we could actually have enough people in the seats. And I think that Chicago's in a place where the current fans now, the people that have made up the season ticket holders, who have made up this whole fandom of like, when Kane and Taves were emerging, or like Keith and Seabrook, are these people that are used to winning. They're used to seeing a product of what's going to happen next. What are we going to see on the ice? Like, I don't think they're going to be as patient.
Well,
And
they were still getting outdoor games. Like the
were.
NHL were still recognizing the market and still saw how important it was.
Mm-hmm. And
But,
sorry. Can I just add one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
And I think it's going to be different too. I think the retool has to happen in a different way for the Blackhawks, because if you look at the Rangers too, they had expiring contracts they got assets for, like Ryan McDonough. They traded for Martin St. Louis, but at the same time too, like he retired, so that's another shave off of things. Like they traded Derek Stepan. They had all these other guys. Yeah, Matt Zuccarello. Like they got all these guys off their books. Well, I think the Blackhawks, they just really don't have that flexibility.
See, the thing I look at is before they were successful, like you said, Patrick Sharp was selling tickets outside. What happens when they're not successful?
Well, you're going to be bad at some point.
No, I understand that, but you have the argument I'm making is Taves and Kane are a representation of this past success in Chicago. And let's be honest, the majority of people who go into that stadium and are wearing jerseys are wearing Taves and Kane on the back. Mm-hmm. If you trade both of them hypothetically, does that change the fans' view of the team? Because then they know it's going to be a rebuild.
It's a good question. It's a very good question. Because then I start thinking, right, okay, what's better for the team then? Is it the sort of you keep the star power and the dollars they bring in and how important that is right now in the world?
Yeah.
Or is it the possible assets you might be able to get for Patrick Kane, who is I think he's a top 5 player in the league, and Jonathan Taves, who I don't think there are many more impactful centermen in the league than he. It's Stan Bowman. A lot of hockey people have given him a lot of crap, and I think rightfully so. But boy, is he in a real pickle right now.
It's interesting. Sorry, go.
Finish. And hey, just one more thing, and you also imagine how important and how much Chicago ownership might be involved in this. And for once, I don't think I would blame an ownership group for being involved heavily in hockey decisions right now.
It's interesting you talk about the rebuild in, it was reading over that letter, the thing they brought up that I thought was so interesting was it felt like they knew that going into next season, they're not going to be able to fill that arena. And that's why now is the best opportunity to rebuild. Let's get the worst out of the way, even though I don't think the first year of your rebuild is the worst. I don't think that's true at all. But let's get one bad year of a rebuild we can still fill the stadium to its whatever capacity. As long as it's not 100%, you're probably still filling it. It makes sense, I guess. I don't know. Now, the question I want to pose to both of you, because I've been thinking about this. If you're Chicago ownership, do you let Stan Bowman complete the rebuild?
Oh, man. Daniel, do you want to tackle that first?
It's pretty funny we keep bringing this up, but I'm going to use the Rangers example again. So it was Glenn Sather who started the rebuild, and he was the guy who's like a longtime face. Same thing as Stan Bowman, guy that's really known around the hockey community. And I think he won't. It's going to be kind of a reshuffling where they're not going to flat out fire him because he's just a known name. That they're going to try to reshuffle him somewhere in management. They're going to be like, hey, this guy's coming up. So it's the same thing with Jeff Gordon came in for the Rangers, and then he's a guy who's like, okay, well, I've known the system for so long. We're committed to this rebuild, and I'll deal with the heavy lifting, but I'll be the face of what's gonna happen next, not of the old guard anymore. And I think at a coaching perspective, they talked about this before with Jeremy Coltonen, where he kind of represents something of a shift where he's a young guy. He's someone that maybe he's gonna ride the ship with for now, but at the same time, I don't know. We just don't know how this is going to look like after that. I don't know if he's going to stay either. But for the Stan Bowman thing, I think he just gets reshuffled, but I don't trust him leading this. He's never kind of gone through something like this. He, like we said, he got the team from Dale Talon after he drafted everybody.
Mm-hmm. I think he's going to stay. I think if there was, by the time they made the decision to finally rebuild, I think if he was going to be gone, he'd be gone already. I mean, we saw with the moment Buffalo sort of, had some sort of disagreement, whatever, with what that team was going to do next. Same in with Ray Shero in New Jersey, the guy was gone. And again, the Sabres did it probably at like the worst the pandemic's been. So I don't even think like the Chicago Blackhawks would have something of, do you want to do this? Get rid of the guy in the midst of the pandemic? Like, no. So I think if it was going to happen, it happened already. I think they're gonna. Funny you mentioned the Montreal comparison. Another one here. They're gonna kind of allow Bowman what Jeff Molson allowed Mark Bergevin to do to clean up his own mess.
Man, only if there was a draft wizard who just was on a broadcast or something. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you.
Poor Mike Fuda. Eat your heart out, man. Wow. Jesus. I didn't think we were going to spend that much so much.
Can I add one point about this rebuild?
Yeah.
Sure.
I think it's really important, and I think this is something that a couple teams, and Toronto included, missed the boat on when they did their rebuild. And I think Ottawa is kind of doing that now. And I'm going to steal this point from Eric Engels, who was on the SDP, talking about about how leadership is an important point. And Ottawa just let Craig Anderson, Mark Boriecki, and Bobby Ryan all go. And someone else. I feel like I'm missing someone.
They're the big names. Don't
big names. And they brought in Eric Goodbranson, Evgeny Dadonov, and Matt Murray. Not known leaders, right? Like maybe Eric Goodbranson a bit, but for the most part, not known out there leaders. So in terms of Chicago, maybe it's the best that they keep him because that leadership that they have, those three guys, Taze, Kane, and Keith have, most definitely should rub off on DeBrincat, Strome, and whoever else. And if you lose, you end up with a little bit of what you have here in Toronto, and that now you're kind of forced, not necessarily forced, but it'd be in your best interest to bring in more quote unquote leaders because maybe it's something you lacked earlier on. Just want to throw that in there.
I think, hey, good point. Good discussion there, lads. I'll put a Yeah, I don't know, a gold hockey stick on that segment. I like it.
It's 2 gold hockey sticks.
Why do you have to one up me? Why'd you do that?
3 gold
2.
hockey
Okay, there's
sticks.
three representing the 3 of us.
Like 3 Michelin stars.
Yeah.
You
Les
ever
trois
think about-
étoiles.
Yeah, mesdames et messieurs, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, the Coors Light 3 stars. And then most times it ends with the première étoile, the first star, Carey Price. Anyway, a good hire happened today. Seattle just seemed to be making good hire after good hire after good hire here. They had a slew of them today, but we're gonna focus on one. Former NHLer, most notably former Calgary Flame, and just say it, get it out the way.
I
Get it out
didn't
the
put
way.
that in there. I have no idea who did that.
Leafs legend.
Honestly, I thought I had no idea. I promise I did not put that in the document. I didn't even realize. I completely forgot his time with the Leafs, if I'm being honest.
Really?
Daniel?
Well, I was extremely young. Like, let's
Okay.
remember that.
Yeah,
Did
I was
you
just
put
starting
that
my
in, Daniel?
family. Yeah. I remember there was the argument where everyone thought he should have been captain, not Matt Sundin. I remember that was a thing on the playground.
Right. Okay.
The
Okay.
playground.
Anyway. Former NHLer, most notably a Calgary Flame, and noted
Yeah.
fitness madman Gary Roberts. He's the one the hire we're focusing on. Has been hired by the Seattle Kraken to consult in key sports science and performance role. Now, why is this significant? Well, Gary Roberts has trained some pretty big names in the NHL. James Neal, I know that's not a very impressive one to start with, but Whippy's own, the real deal, James Neal. You may have heard a few of these guys. Steven Stamkos, the guy who has worked through blood clots, a broken leg, and his career is still looking great and scores 40 goals. Mark Scheifele, who is a noted, complete all-in hockey guy. He's freaky about his conditioning and the foods he's supposed to eat.
Yeah.
That comes from Gary Roberts.
And Patrick Laine's center.
Should be center. And the guy who just rehabbed from basically only having one leg for a little bit there. Gary Roberts also trains Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
You forgot another name.
Who?
Nazem Kadri.
Really?
Yeah.
Anyone from Ontario. Let's just categorize it as that.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody?
Most people. Okay. Not any.
Jamal Murray? No.
You know what I mean. Don't.
Andrew Wiggins.
So this is if you're building a sort of staff with some specialty, behind it.
Yeah.
It's not the worst. I don't know what I'm saying like that. He's a fantastic hire. And I wonder though what this does, because of course Roberts has his own sort of business in that. And you wonder, is this going to affect his ability if he has some sort of clause in his contract where he can only sort of train Kraken players?
I think it definitely does.
Do you think they call, how it's like Leafs have? Do you think they're like the tentacles of the Krakens is what they're called their players? And here comes the group of tentacles skating onto the ice. Look at those. I think
they'll just call them Krakens.
The spices to the rum.
I know. It'd be much funner. More fun. That's not English.
The spices to the rum? What?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what they're going to call their players.
The spices to the rum. Okay.
The fried
I'll go with that one.
Yeah, I love that one. Yeah.
Are calamari squid or octopus? I always get it mixed up.
Octopi?
I don't know, Adam. I'm sorry.
What's the? Oh, I guess it's Seattle. No, because it's Seattle Kraken. It's not Krakens. So is Krakens the plural of Kraken?
I have no idea.
I have a question. I have a really important question for you guys. We'll talk about Gary Roberts in a second.
Okay.
Yeah. So obviously, when you talk about fish, if you're talking about a group of goldfish, it is the plural is look at all those fish.
Yeah.
So if it is multiple species of fish, like if you see, I don't know, other multiple things of fish. I don't know why I can't think of clownfish, whatever dory is. It is referred to as fishes, right? Look at all those fishes over there.
Sure.
Now, if you see a group of Pikachu, you say, "Wow, look at all those! Look at that Pikachu. That's a cute Pokemon." And now, if you see multiple species of Pokemon, or is it Pokemon? Is it Pokemans? Is it look at all those pocket monsters? What is it?
Pokemons. I would say Pokemons.
You think?
Pokemon.
I don't know. Is there a correct answer? Like, do you have the correct answer? Is that why you're bringing this up?
No, I was just thinking about it.
I think it's Pokemons, but what do I don't know. I'm not sure.
Pokemons.
Yeah.
Cookie
What do you
Man.
think- What how does Gary Roberts, what do you think he says it is, guys?
I think he says it's Pokemons
I think it's Gary
See-
Robert.
with an O.
See-
Pokemons. MONS. Yeah.
Do you think Connor says Pokemans and then to piss him off, Gary goes, "It's Pokemon," like just to get him going for the training. He's like,
Probably,
you're not an
man.
MVP. You're not an MVP.
Is Connor McDavid a
You're not
noted Pokemon fan?
He
Yeah.
goes. You're not the MVP of your own team. And
Those
he
are the
just-
two things he does to make Connor go faster. He's
He
like,
plays the
"You're not
soundbite of
MVP."
Alex going, he's not the MVP of his own
Yeah.
team.
and then it's like it's Pokemons. That's what gets Connor McDavid. It's
Yeah.
not that he's been disrespected. He plays for a terrible team. It's like he doesn't know the plural of Pokemon.
Should we tell everyone what the idea we had this afternoon?
No. What sure. What was
Okay,
the idea?
okay. So Gary Roberts and Connor McDavid are like this, like they're close.
Oh yeah.
So if he's in Seattle, he's gonna, if they don't make the playoffs, he's gonna want to leave, and so and so he's gonna leave. He's gonna waive his no move clause, which I believe he has in his contract. And Seattle are going to take Connor McDavid, and they're going to lose him for zero. It's just it's a conspiracy theory here, but
You might be onto something. It might be like the Tyler Toffoli signing when I called it that he was going to Montreal.
yeah, we could
We
absolutely
have to speak it into existence.
You know who else is going to be exposed? Adam said before, Steven Stamkos.
Probably.
By the way,
Yes.
Connor doesn't have any trade protection until 22-23.
Oh, because of his age, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
He can't. Okay, but to go back on to Gary Rob, those are some radical ideas we have in this.
I know. How
We're
does
gonna have to-
Gary
we're gonna-
Roberts?
We're gonna have
Do
to
you know-
remember it.
Do you guys know the difference between a male and a female Pikachu?
I have zero idea.
A female Pikachu has a notch in her tail.
That's good to know. I guess I'll store that one in my head.
I'll take that. Yeah, I'll remember that when I see them outside tomorrow.
I'll put it in my pocket and it'll come out.
Yes.
It'll be useful eventually. But I guess to go back on Gary Roberts, I don't think my guess is if Seattle Kraken are smart, and I think they have some very smart individuals in there, like he's not going to be able to train anyone else. Like I believe he was offered positions in the past and he declined them. So then I'm thinking, what made Seattle special? Because the same is with Barb Underhill, right? She's not technically contracted, under contract with anyone. I believe she was also offered, to some teams, as she was offered a contract from some teams. So obviously she declined.
The only thing I could think about is it's a clean slate that they could come in and create their own culture around their own department. They could kind of establish this is how things go. So this is the way. This is how. Like I don't know. It's just what I kind of think.
For a lot of
That
money.
might be the excuse. Yeah. Money.
Hey, like what if how about this? What if he, like his signing thing, like the condition is he gets to design the mascot?
Sorry, Gary Roberts gets
Yeah,
to design.
Wait, did it ask you, Adam?
I am still upset that I had no contact was made for my design. I'll never get over that because I put a very hard 16 minutes into making that drawing.
Copyright your Instagram post. They don't take it.
How do you do that? Just put the C in the circle?
Yeah.
Put, like the date? I'd agree. I mean, if you have such a unique guy who trains the best players in the world, you're damn right you're gonna, because then you can use that in leverage or negotiations. Whenever Sebastian Aho is a free agent, you can say, Sebastian, hey buddy, we have Gary Roberts.
I don't know if the Islanders are gonna let him go.
No, not that one. Not that one.
Wait,
Not,
sorry.
never that one.
No.
I said Sebastian. Were you listening?
No, I was just reading something about Gary Roberts on The Athletic. I wanted to make sure that.
I said, so if Sebastian, whenever Sebastian was
Oh.
a free agent, and then Daniel said the Islanders, like, no,
Oh.
I don't think they're gonna give him up. Yeah,
the good one. The one who probably took a few $1 million off of Tony D'Angelo's deal when he undressed him in that elimination game. Thoughts on Gary Roberts or Pokemon? Why not?
Now Gary Roberts. I'm happy to see him have this position.
Whitest name on the planet.
Childhood, kind of like, he's been a major childhood figure for me. I always kind of remember him on Toronto, even though it was like the end of his career. Well, kind of. He went to Pittsburgh and Tampa after, but I just remember him being like, what he always reminded me of? So when Jonathan Taves was named captain, they always said like the pseudo captain of that team already was Duncan Keith. I always kind of saw that with the Leafs, where Matt Sundin was the captain, but Gary Roberts was kind of like, his go-to guy, the guy who was like his mentor in a way. So
The Robin to his Batman.
nah, it's more like Terry McGinnis Batman, like in Batman Beyond, and then Gary Roberts was like Bruce Wayne.
I was about to say maybe like even like Nightwing Dick Grayson.
Mhm.
Sorry. God, why did I mix that up? But I like the Batman Beyond to his Batman.
Okay.
And
Oh,
then
yeah, I saw
Alex is
that.
like, what are these two doing tonight?
On
We're,
an absolute
we're trying to
right
stay
here.
culturally relevant.
The Barry Allen to his Wally West.
Yes.
That one I understand.
Yeah.
The Obi-Wan to his Anakin.
I mean,
Yeah, what is it with Daniel and these Obi-Wan Anakin references? This is at least this is if not the second episode in a row.
I watched the prequels again during Thanksgiving long weekend.
There we go. There we go.
You were the chosen one. It said you would bring balance to the force.
First,
Yeah, we all-
Destroy the Sith, not join them. You were my brother, Anakin.
I think this is the preview of the episode right
I
here.
loved you.
yeah.
My
Okay.
mouth really hurts.
Anything?
Jesus
I was gonna
Christ.
say I don't know if you should be doing that right now, Adam. I feel like.
Yeah, no, my mouth. I should stop.
I know.
swearing. It's really hurting now.
All right, well,
Okay.
overall, congrats, Gary. We love you.
Yeah.
And all right, so do you guys want to talk about NHL 21 or Doc Emmerich?
Adam, which one? Where would you like to start?
I mean, to try and get serious, because I feel like we're gonna get a bit loosey goosey talking about NHL 21 because it's kind of bad. It
Yeah,
is disastrously bad. Anyway,
I felt that too when I played it.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
I have a post from Sportsnet here, and it's after 3,750 professional and Olympic hockey games, 100 different verbs used to describe a pass or shot, and 22 Stanley Cup finals. The legendary Mike Doc Emmerich has announced his retirement from broadcasting. 47 seasons calling pro hockey, 45 game sevens, 22 Stanley Cup finals, 14 NHL All-Star games, 6 Olympic games, only one Doc Emmerich from Sportsnet. We lost Bob. I don't want to say we lost Bob Cole. Bob Cole retired not last year. It's still melding in the 18-19 season, and here at the end of 1920, we lose his He's not dead. His kind of, you could say, his American counterpart has retired, and this is you talk about Patrick Kane and the Blackhawks and their past success, right there making those amazing calls that end in the NHL games for a long time.
I was gonna
Doc
say.
Emmerich. Doc Emmerich was right there, lads. Anything
Man,
to say?
I mean, for me, I never got much exposure to Doc Emmerich just because the only time I really heard him was in NHL 20 or in the NHL video games. But if I ever did, it was still pretty damn good. And it definitely sucks we're losing another really good broadcaster.
Hits the post with the shot. Is forever in my memories. Daniel, what about you? Probably like hockey is like the voice of American hockey. You could argue.
I got to actually grow up with him covering a lot of games because for me, a lot of the times like Hockey Night in Canada or like TSN and Sportsnet, it was always kind of like, the Eastern Conference. It was always like mostly the Leafs. And for me, being a Mighty Ducks fan and all, like like you have to watch ESPN, or you got to watch like other broadcasts to kind of show what the other kind of games are in the Western Conference. And for me, I really did grow up a lot with Doc Emmerich. I remember big thing for me was like when he kind of called that whole series when the Mighty Ducks kind of like they upset like the Dynasty Red Wings, or even 2007 when the Ducks won the Cup, or like all those other games where it was kind of something that really was like he was always kind of the voice for things. Or a big thing for me was, even though I was kind of upset with it, like even covering, or like following Paul Correa going from the Nashville Predators to the St. Louis Blues, like to see him still play, that was a big thing. And like Doc Emmerich was always the voice for it. So thank you, Doc, for making my childhood a fun one.
You're gonna get us crying. How dare you? How freaking dare you? Though, what do you think is the American equivalent of Tim Hortons?
Dunkin' Donuts.
Is he gonna
It's
start
not
doing Dunkin'?
Starbucks.
Because you know how Bob Cole does those Tim Horton commercials nowadays?
He does? Have I just not
Yeah,
been watching
so-
TV?
You know how there's this Tim Hortons commercial with these like little sticks.
Okay.
They did this years ago for McDonald's too, I think.
Yeah.
And it's like these sticks for famous, like I think it's
Yeah.
goalies and players.
Yes.
I know, because I wasted a lot of money trying to get a Carey Price.
I guess they're just not
hot
doing.
chocolates.
I guess they're just not doing the fantasy
Those are
cards this
fun.
year.
Yeah.
I remember the tiny awards you have. I have the Conn Smythe.
Really?
Yeah, I remember always. Those were
They-
fun.
They have a lot of good stuff. Where are my hockey trading cards?
Yeah,
Fair
yeah.
enough. Though,
It's not safe for us to trade, guys.
just sanitize the cards before we trade
It's
them.
true.
Though, guys, again, congratulations to Doc. I'm sure Eddie's gonna miss you too, even though he'll probably get hired because analysts getting hired apparently is a common thing in this league. We'll talk about NHL 21 for a bit, the newest addition to EA's video
Such a
games. See, you know
Disappointment.
what always disappoints me about EA is all of their covers are kind of the same. Like all of them have that weird white sort of background for like FIFA or whatever. What I have in my notes here is, and I told you this as well, Alex. NHL 21, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. This is a mini review, and I'm sure Daniel, you haven't bought it yet, have you?
Kind of waiting on the sale. Like after you guys kind of told me about it, I'm like,
Yeah, maybe.
yeah, I'm just gonna wait.
And I think this is going to be the title of the episode. We'll figure it out at the end of the show. EA Sports. It's not in the game.
You know what is in the game still, though, Alex?
Roster updates that are like 3 days after pre-order launch. Yeah.
I love how, like, you think about it, Austin Matthews, it took them 2-3 years to make him a sniper from a playmaker. Guy scores 40 goals his first year. Whatever. What else? Okay, let's think about this. Jeff Petrie is a defensive defenseman. He had the most turnovers last year for defensemen. Just want to point that out. Okay. Drew Doughty is like a top 5 defenseman in that game still.
I'm convinced they don't watch hockey.
It's the only goalie prospects that ever get any improvement are Thatcher Demko and Jonas Korpisalo. Because coincidentally, the developers are in Vancouver.
They did my guy Elvis 30.
Did they? I haven't even looked
Yeah,
at
he's 80. They're both 84 overall.
Okay.
I think that's fair. Because
First-
higher goalies don't normally do well.
Yeah.
Which is
Well,
always-
not in this game. Apparently not in this game.
You know, my Carey Price, I finished my first year in Montreal, 920 save percentage, but he played like 70 games. I'm like, what the hell?
How? Okay. I love Timothy Liljegren. He's played 1 NHL game. Clearly, he's maybe not the defenseman he's expected to be. He is still a medium elite potential and always has a large amount of trade value. Why? I'm convinced they don't do anything. Like that's just the start of it. That's just the start of it. The game okay, so maybe I don't really understand how you say, okay, here's the pre-order 3 days before everyone else. And there's so many glitches. What are you doing beforehand?
And a lot of people may be saying, lads, there's a pandemic here. What's the deal if the potentials are wrong? Well, loyal listeners, normally I would have that mindset. Like, there's a pandemic. Though the issue comes with, like, since NHL 15 ported over to next gen, the past 5 seasons of hockey games have been playing catch up to NHL 15 on old generation, or NHL 14, you could kind of say.
14 was 13 were amazing.
Yeah, and then it's
The ones I actually bought.
and like I understand they have a smaller development team, but the guys, the bar down crew had a really really good point. The issue becomes is when you charge $79.99 for a game, and it's like, I was thinking about it. Why do I buy this game every year when it really is like starting your franchise mode in year 2? That's what it's like. Seriously, just going forward a year, starting sooner, and you're like, oh, hopefully they can update the rosters. They don't. Like, come on, how hard is it to kind of tell what type of defenseman this guy plays as? Like, you're telling me you could never just like paid an intern, like gotten an intern or something to be like, yo, you figure out what kind of player Drew Doughty is. It's not hard.
I don't know.
You know, it's pretty surprising for me to hear this because
Come on.
I have a lot of friends who have been so loyal to 2K, and then they felt the same way the past few years that it's just a money grab now. And then you're the two guys that have been my most consistent in my life that have always bought NHL. And then you're kind of saying the same thing now too.
But you know what the thing is though, is I think Adam's right in saying 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Like I think they made some pretty nice additions to the game. Adam, I don't know if you've got to kind of play around with the trade deadline mini game. Like I think it's enjoyable. I think it could, I guess, be a little bit better. You know, there's a glitch in it where every time a trade happens, you get put back to the beginning of the list, which is really annoying.
The menus are still lagging.
Yeah, like I don't know if that's a patch thing or if it's just like this the entire year. I'm gonna get I'm already used to it, but I shouldn't be. They added the kind of story-ish mode, not really, but story-ish mode to be a pro, which is really cool, right? Like you can buy stuff like a car or whatever. There's more interactives between like you and other players and coaches and media members, which is cool. But number one, it gets a little repetitive, and obviously, like I don't think it's going to be perfect. I think even in NBA, you might have that same issue as well. But if you're garbage, and let's say you go right to the NHL, right? Like I did it. I tried it myself. I'm a left winger, 68 overall. I didn't do the draft. I didn't do CHL or Europe. I went right to the league. I picked the Leafs. I simmed through preseason just to see what would happen because I didn't see any AHL options. I'm a healthy scratch, like 18 years old, 68 overall. I'm a healthy scratch. They completely got rid of being sent down, and you can't play a full season in the CHL, which they used to have. And I used to do it literally I'd start in the CHL and I'd play the full season. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, great. You added these great things, but you also removed things that were like integral to a pro's career. Like how many guys get drafted and then get sent back to the AHL?
I finished the full year and I did the playoffs too. I play on a low difficulty because I want to dominate and want to win, right?
Yeah.
And these are like the challenges you get in game. All right, we need a goal, Adam. Let's go. And it's either put on pressure so you play well or score. Is it. That's the only thing you're ever going to get. It is disastrous. And like interaction with players, the only player I got to interact with all year was Nick Suzuki. And he wanted to go to the museum or to like the Liberty Bell. I'm like, I want to be a good teammate. It's like the second season, like Montreal traded everyone. Like Weber is gone. Like the only guys who are still around is Domi, who they gave $14 million to because he was
That's
my
not
line
accurate.
mate. Hmm?
That's not accurate.
Like and no, like seriously, everyone, Kotkaniemi, Dano, Gallagher, everyone was gone. I was like, what the hell just happened? And it's like in GM mode. There's a glitch sometimes when you're trying to edit lines because you have to do it a lot because of injuries, right? Like I lost half my defensive core, and like it was a glitch where like it made me have to do like perfect like best lines, and even when you do it, it still glitches and you have to restart the mode. And contracts are still not fixed for Be a Pro. Two teams offered me. By the way, it's only a 1-year deal instead of the 3 ELC, right? Two teams gave me a deal: the Canadians and the Oilers, because we had just beaten the Oilers in the final, so that was really really funny. But then
80s
it's like
throwback.
you add these nice things, like the presentation is amazing, right? And I don't want Alex. I don't want to spoil this for you. Or
That's
do you
okay.
mind if I spoil what happens when you win the Stanley Cup?
Go ahead.
Like normally the captain goes up. Your Be a Pro finally gets to go up and lift the cup, even if you're not the captain. Sorry, I just smacked that. And it's like this is wicked. Even though I gave the cup to Adam McQuaid before Carey Price, it's like what the hell is happening here? And man, it's just it's terrible. It's just it hurts. It really does hurt because you want to like it. They've made all these changes, but there's still just so many glaring holes, and it feels like these features should have been implemented 3-4 years ago, and we should be building and building and building.
Yeah.
But it's just. I'm actually at the point where next year I'm not gonna buy it till it goes on sale for Black Friday or something. I'm really at that point now.
All right, so what price point would you guys give this game? For example, if you are recommending it to a friend, maybe a friend on this show right now that doesn't buy games brand new or, at the launch price, what is your price point that he should wait?
Here's the thing is like the gameplay itself isn't that bad. Like I don't know who the hell's pulling off lacrosse style goals because it's like freaking impossible to just do in gameplay motion. But
I can barely do a toe drag.
yeah, but like I think they added the whole thing about the boards, which I thought was really important because I used to do it all the time in 20 and it always sucked, but this time it actually works quite well. It's just the external modes like Be a Pro, there's issues. GM mode, there's issues. I haven't played a whole lot of Hut yet because I played one game and I got murdered. I'm like, I'm done with this. So I'll go back to it eventually once like things kind of even themselves out. But I don't even know what price point I'd put it at.
Okay. Can I give you my own playing profile first and then you can identify. So I don't play online too much unless it's with friends.
Yeah.
I like GM mode a lot. I'm actually someone that likes playing it with someone beside me, playing like one-on-one. So I guess more of a throwback AHL type of player, and I like Be a Pro. So if you factor those in, what is my price point?
Don't spend more than $50 on the game.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what I would say. Like, don't spend more than that. That's like if you're like Daniel. Let me say this to you. If you're just playing for a bit more of a revamped Be a Pro mode, like there's a step up. Like there is like no question there is an advancement in this game. Just don't get your hopes up too much, and yeah, don't pay more than $50.
Okay.
I'm saying that to the listeners as well. Right though, I don't want to make you too sad, Daniel. So I think it's time to talk about a segment that will for sure make you happy. The World Juniors. We have the schedule out. It starts in Christmas. It's going to be in Edmonton. The bubble system that the NHL had will be adopted. I'm assuming you should like mirror it in the Edmonton layout, of course. We'll have a more in-depth episode where we're really, really going to maybe look at the rosters later on down the road. Sorry, my mouth's starting to feel really weird. Okay. No, what's interesting here, guys, and what's going to catch a lot of headlines is we have a sort of 2005 repeat. Now, it doesn't take long when we talk about the World Juniors to talk about 2005. Because of the lockout, all of a sudden, that World Junior team is godlike. Like, Bergeron is on there. Crosby. I want to say I want to say Getzlaff. Am I right?
Getzlaff and Perry, yeah.
Getzlaff and Perry. Now, we could have that scenario this year, but you swap out a lockout for a pandemic. So, Lafreniere could go back. We all remember how good he was last year. Dylan Cousins, I don't know. Caulfield could go back. Nick Robertson is eligible for it. Trevor Zegras is eligible for it. And
even Kirby Doc and Quinton Byfield.
Now, before I throw it over to you guys when we talk about Morrison, maybe potential players, those are all amazing. This also gives the World Juniors a bit of spice that it feels like it's been missing for a couple of years. No, Daniel?
Yeah, definitely. Like, this is the first time where I think it's been more of the trend now where a lot of these top prospects they make the jump immediately. That now that when you have these concentration now, and the way kind of the systems have developed all over the world, that it's actually going to be a best on best junior tournament. And, like for us that kind of missed out on the Olympics in 2018 with that Olympic team, this is probably the next big thing, especially when we're not going to get the World Cup of Hockey again.
Who cares? Who cares? Alex, it's like a pumpkin spiced World Junior.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. Maybe for me, I guess, because I do enjoy watching the World Juniors just to see what the next crop of guys looks like. But as a Leafs fan, there are quite a few guys who could potentially hit the ice. So I'm excited to see what those guys look like against their peers.
So Alex is going for Russia.
There's actually quite a few guys on Finland, man. Like,
yeah.
I was just going through earlier. There's Kalle Lupanen, Mikko Kokkonen, and then there's a guy
you sound like a Decepticon.
And there's another guy. They have Roni here. Can you hear me?
Alex, you're cutting out.
When you started listing names, you turned into Megatron.
How about now?
And then your video froze.
Am I still frozen?
Still freezing a bit.
Okay, someone else go.
Okay, you're fully frozen now. You're fully frozen. Oh, now you're moving.
Just someone else go. Don't worry.
Daniel, give me some names. Who do you? Okay. Yeah. Okay. No. We are talking. Daniel, give me some names. I teased a bit, but I think you're going to be a lot more, knowledgeable for this. Especially like Canada, the states. Who are some names that could be, could surprise us? Like, what do you mean Canada's going to have this guy? What? They're so good.
I think it's like you've already said it. Like Alexis Lafreniere, like the fact that he could probably come back for a third tournament is pretty amazing. He already dominated the last year. Quinton Byfield, this is going to be these high profile type of tournaments that these guys could really excel in before, and they could still make the jump to the NHL, like depending on when they start. And I remember the trend in past tournaments that has been top picks that have disappointed to a certain extent have been the ones that get sent back for this tournament. But that's not the case this year. Like one example I remember was Dylan Strome ended up playing like 3 World Juniors because he kept getting sent down by the Coyotes. And, it's not like that this year. This year it's just going to be a bunch of guys that could return that, they have that gold medal pedigree, but they have so many of these top prospects that are going to make it. The one thing that is kind of going to be weird is that I don't know how they're going to select the team, to be honest, based on it's going to be based on merit, based on how guys played last year, because the trend usually is they have an August summer orientation where they invite as many guys as they can who are potential guys. Then from there, they cut down they cut down on the training camp as they go. I remember it used to be the World Junior team versus the U Sports All-Stars. So that used to be a big thing that would really assess who are the guys who are going to make it. But now this year, I'm wondering how are you going to assess fit? How are you going to assess who really deserves to be on this team, to be honest, because it's just so stacked this year.
No 17-year-olds. None of them are going to make it. Alex, hello? Are you
still? Can you still hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I think you're back to normal.
Yeah.
Well, I guess looking at other than Canada, I think there's some other interesting teams out there. I think Canada and US are those teams are going to be quite interesting because I do think that in my opinion, it should be in the team's best interest to send them to the World Juniors, because I think for those kids, and maybe not everyone sees it that way, but I think for those kids, it is competitive hockey. Mm-hmm. So that it's going to be quite interesting. In terms of guys that for Leafs at least, there's actually quite a few. Obviously, there's Rodion Amirov, who I hope plays well because they'll shut all those old people up. There's then, like I was saying before, Kali Lopin and Mikko Kokkonen and Ronnie Hirvonen, who are all from Finland.
They sound Finnish.
Yeah, and then there's that goalie Artur, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Their 4th round goalie pick, has now actually played a couple games in the KHL, so and has looked, in my opinion, quite well from the highlights. So there's a few guys out there. I think it's going to be very competitive.
Askarov?
Yes.
Yeah, Askarov for Russia as well. Is he? I guess he is eligible. Yeah. I don't know why he wouldn't be.
I'm excited to look at the American team, because Montreal they've been drafting a lot of Americans. Like Luke Tuck will be there. Obviously, you hope to God Cole Caulfield has an amazing tournament, because he's really disappointing and was not used well last year. And you also hope that along with him, you would hope, Daniel, that Zegras and Caulfield actually get used together next tournament.
Yeah, that's like going to be the top, that's going to be the heartland of their offense. These two guys that, they're familiar with the development program. They're familiar with the NCAA. And I think that's something that the U.S. definitely needs for them. It's going to be two guys that, they could really come in and really, help the U.S. Like, they're going to really anchor them. And when I think of like an anchor, I also think of like Spencer Knight, where it's a guy that, it's the same thing we talked about Yaroslav Askarov, where you just keep bringing these goalies back as much as they can, because the experience is just so much better, especially when you know that these goaltenders like take so long to develop. Mm-hmm. The U.S. is going to be an interesting situation. I think we don't talk enough about their top prospects, because, Alex Turcotte could come in and he could completely dominate. So I think the talent's all around there. I don't know. I'm just really excited the fact that it's just going to be so competitive on every team, that we're not just going to, because like a big thing I always kind of felt too, ever since 2005, is that we say, this is a great team, but man, like look at that guy playing in the NHL. I wish that guy was there. Like I remember when Matt Duchene and Ryan O'Reilly made the Avalanche right away in 2009, 2010 season. I'm like, man, like Canada could really use those guys in that tournament.
Mm-hmm. Hey,
yeah.
The Americans. Sorry, go ahead, Alex.
No, I was just going to say, I wouldn't be surprised if there are a couple teams who do keep their players back. Unfortunately.
God, I hope not. Because, like, the season, because what the NHL want to start, like, January 1st, right? That's what
around then. I think it probably pushed back.
Don't be dicks.
I think
they will, but
I think there's one guy in particular who if I'm the team, I don't think there's no need to send him because he's already dominated, and that's Alexis Lafreniere. But there is a guy who I think the team must know he wants to go back. He needs to, not necessarily like he needs to prove it to other people. I think maybe he wants to prove it to himself, and Quinton Byfield, who, let's be honest, didn't really have the best World Juniors last year.
Because what's weird about Byfield is he got I hate how Canada do this. They have this thing of, if they know they're going to have a player back for a second year, the first year they'll have him on the fourth line. It's what they did to Lafreniere. So if they do get Byfield, my God, they better give him a damn shot. But hey, Byfield, Lafreniere maybe, but he's an option. He would be a god on that tournament.
I remember in 2004, Sidney Crosby was the third line center because he was 16.
Hey, we're not allowed to question what they do, though, right?
Hey, lots of great Canadian guys. Zegras, The Wisconsin connection in Terracotta and Caulfield.
That's
all the Leafs. Sorry?
You said U.S. You said Canada, so I think you meant U.S.
Imagine there's a visual comma there.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, you know what I mean. Like all the stuff with Canada, the state should have some great players who really disappointed last year, who are gonna really want to come out. The Russians are always great. Finland are getting better and better. Sweden will win all their games until they get to the tournament stage and lose again because that's how Sweden works. But hey, the World Juniors are going to be fantastic this year. And guys, I don't think any of us can wait another day, even though we have to wait like another 2 months.
And let's not forget, there's a defenseman, Jamie Drysdale.
Coming back.
Coming back, baby.
He got that treatment too, didn't he? He was like the 7th D, and he came in for one game. Remember, he was wicked. And it's like, man,
Canada always does that. They overvalue the 19-year-olds.
It's like they do. It's like they're run by Detroit. You got to overgroom your prospects.
It's really funny you say that because it's like, when you look at Babcock and Holland, those are two of the most Hockey Canada guys. Because Hockey Canada is such a damn boys club when you think about it. Like Martin Brodeur has been part of that. Like Sean Burke. What the hell are you guys doing? Though
What's wrong with Brodeur?
What?
What's wrong with Brodeur?
Like he's just. Are you telling me there's no one? What has he done to run team? But like running national teams aren't hard. Okay, who's leading the league and score? That guy.
It's very difficult to pick Chris Kunitz. Okay, guys, very difficult. I was about
to say that.
Pick Chris Kunitz.
There's always those selections that always surprise you. I remember. He did pretty well eventually, but like Brendan Morrow on the 2010 team or Chris Draper on the 2006 team.
Guys, let's be honest. All three of us could win a gold medal if we were running Canada. All right,
I'm not arguing that. I'm not arguing that.
Here. Like we could do it.
No, I'm not arguing that. Listen, I'm not arguing that. I'm just making a joke about Chris Kunitz.
Oh yeah.
We should do an episode where we pick the German team or something, or like Belarus.
Tim Stützle, Leon Draisaitl,
and that's it.
You bring back Marco Sturm from retirement.
Nico Sturm, I think, right? Nico Sturm.
Hey, they made it to the gold medal game. They're not bad.
Against Ilya Kovalchuk and the Russians. Is that where Ilya Kovalchuk was on that team?
Yeah.
Or the Olympic athletes from Russia. Sorry.
Yeah.
Is that the team? Is that the team name? Was he on that team?
Yeah.
And they were taking pictures with him afterwards.
Right.
Pavel Datsuk and then Kirill Kaprizov.
Wow, damn it. Right. Okay, guys. There's a lot. Okay, there was something. Do we want to wait and talk about Line A next episode then? Because it was like, he's still out there. I don't know why I want to talk about that. Nothing has changed.
Okay.
Ignore that. I don't know why I mentioned that. All right.
Okay. Can I mention something before we move on? Because I know we're going to bring up free agents right now.
Yes.
A major free agent has just come off the board earlier today.
Okay. Is it really?
Are you
pulling our legs here, or was this actually a big name?
It's an absolute banger of a name. Chris Russell has re-signed with the Edmonton Oilers. Oh my God. Someone call. I don't know. Do we know any Edmonton fans? Call them, tell them, spread the news.
He's okay guy.
All right.
That's it. That's all I wanted to say.
If you want to see the disappointment on my face, check out the YouTube channel. Also to see Alex's freaking grin. And look at Daniel because it looks like there's daylight in his because his lighting is so good. Ignore
thank you.
My garbage one because my lamp broke.
Out of frustration over the Chris Russell signing. I
don't know what happened. I was just fixing it. Anyway.
Is it same feelings of NHL 21 or similar? No.
See, here's the thing. I'm going to get in a lot of trouble for breaking this lamp because it is the third one since Christmas I've broken.
Oh, it's officially broken.
So you don't love lamp?
No.
What?
No, that's just Brick Tameland.
Okay.
It's okay. Don't worry.
Okay. Lots of free agents are still out there. Travis Hamonic is still out there. Hassel Hoffman is still out there. And what's really funny at the same time is there's like 4 teams that are still over the cap. But I mean, I don't know which one of you put this on the dock.
It wasn't me. So I'm going to guess it was Daniel.
Daniel has put half the content for today's show up. Because I was texting you guys yesterday, like, we have nothing. We have Chicago, and that's it. Well, Daniel, because I've been screaming like an idiot for an hour and a half, my mouth's kind of hurting. So do you want to take it away here?
All right, yeah, I think.
Alrighty then.
All right,
and then Alex, you can take over for your late stuff. Don't worry, I'm not leaving. I'm just like.
Oh, no problem.
I was a big idiot with my mouth.
It's okay. This is a casual episode.
It's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay.
We'll pass the baton whenever we need to. Do we do it physically on the
I'm trying
camera?
to find something Pokemon in my room.
No,
the pen is the baton.
Oh, the pen's all right. Thank you. Oh wait, you can do that again.
Guys, I have my.
All right, thank you. I got it. Yeah.
I have a bunch of Pokemon games here.
All right.
I don't.
What?
Wow.
What else is here?
Great collection. Anyways, for the free agents, I'm surprised at the amount of names that are still out there. Like, I really thought Mike Hoffman was gonna come on the first, like he was gonna sign somewhere on the first day. Like, is it something to do with, his expected value, with something that he expected to get more in terms of term, in terms of, cap hit? I don't understand. Why is Mike Hoffman not signed, Alex?
You make a good point. I think. Just before I talk about Mike Hoffman, I think what's happening here is all the tier 1 guys ended up signing, right? Krug, Hall, Pietrangelo, those are your tier one guys. And some of your tier 2 guys signed, and then a lot of tier 3 guys ended up signing. And I wonder if that's because they were just saying, okay, I'll take whatever I can get. And now we're stuck with all these tier 2 guys, essentially, like Mikael Granlund, like Hoffman, like Vatanen, those guys who are now stuck without contracts. And listen, they're going to get contracts. At the end of the day, they're just not going to get contracts that they were expecting. And I'm not entirely sure why. Like, if I'm the agent and I'm looking at the economic climate of the NHL, like, you have to know your client is not Alex Pietrangelo, Torrey Krug, or Taylor Hall. Like, even Taylor Hall took a 1-year deal, right? It's like these guys are eventually going to sign. Like Hoffman and Duclair and Granlund, and these guys aren't going to just sit on the market.
Mm-hmm. This is not an NHL game.
They're all going to sign in Boston.
I mean, let me just pull up here. Like, remember we said 17 teams had to cut some type of external salary in terms of coaches or whoever, and whoever else. So that leaves teams with, again, now their own internal budget. Like Buffalo has $13 million in cap space. Do you think they're signing anyone else?
No,
probably not.
It would look bad for them because of how many staff they let go of too.
Right. Like, I'm just looking at the teams and looking at who is most likely willing to spend money. And if I'm being honest, I don't see a whole lot of teams on this list. Like, the Rangers are maybe a team who'd be willing to spend some money. The Blue Jackets, but they have their own issue to deal with in Gavrikov and did Gavrikov sign? And Dubois. Either way, Pierre-Luc Dubois is the guy. Edmonton and Ottawa. Sorry, not Edmonton. Detroit and Ottawa. I don't see them spending any more money. Same with New Jersey. Like, these guys are going to be forced to, if they want to play, take 1-year deals, probably. Like, I don't see how many of these guys get some type of term.
One player I think that's probably going to have to do this, and I think he expected a longer term deal, is Travis Hamonic, because of the amount of time he took to not play, because he when he opted out. I think he's someone that I still really view him as a very valuable, asset to a team where he could be, I don't know, like, I could see him going to the Bruins because of his style of play, but at the same time too, like, he's not like an immediate Torrey Krug type of, fix there. I think he's someone that could be an addition if the Bruins address something else there. But then again, like I could see him taking a prove me contract because I think with how much time he's been away from the game, I think he needs to kind of rebuild his value. Same thing with Sami Vatanen, a guy who got injured. I thought he was going to do well in Carolina, but now he's someone that I think is still going to be valued as a right hand shot, an offensive defenseman, someone who could really complement your power play.
You know what I think is going to happen here? I think the league to watch this year is going to be the SHL. Because I look at teams, and first of all, there's like 6 teams right now over the cap. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams that have less than $3 million in cap room. And you also wonder, like Pittsburgh is supposed to be apparently an internal cap. They have less than $2 million in salary. And you wonder what teams are going to try and leave room for, like, let's say a free agency. It's not free agency, sorry, but a trade deadline. And then you think, well, then how many teams are just not going to do anything? Like the word of how like 90% of cap room has already been used. And there becomes a certain point in the offseason, I believe Eric Engels also mentioned this on the STP, that stuff stops happening. How many players are not going to sign, period, and are going to have to leave the league for a year or two? How is it going to look next year as well? The year after that?
Well, I think most of the top end of the tier 2 guys that we were talking about will end up signing. Like, I think there are teams who are in on Mike Hoffman. I believe Boston was one. I believe Nashville was another. So I think these guys are going to get deals. Now, there's a couple guys who pop into my head who I just don't think are going to end up with deals. One being, unfortunately, Ilya Kovalchuk. Like, I just don't think, it seemed like he had a spot in Montreal, but things change, man. And I don't necessarily think his performance in Washington was that great that another team's going to go out and pick him. That guy probably ends up back in Europe, in my opinion. Michael Grabner, same as well. Like, he said he's waiting for when things are clearer in terms of when they're going to play. And I understand, right? Like, it's probably more of a family thing. And listen, that guy could probably go to Europe and get a contract anywhere he wants. But then the issue is how long do these players wait before they go to Europe? Because all of Europe, I think with the exception of Germany, is currently playing hockey. The SHL, the KHL, and their minor leagues. Like, these leagues are playing hockey, man. Like, yes, they'll all be great additions, but how much sense does it make now halfway through the season for them to go?
Mm-hmm. It's, by the way, what do you think life in Europe is like right now? Like, that they got their
depends on the country.
Back. It's like, I just wonder, like, what does it look like to walk in downtown, Gothenburg? Is that what the capital of Sweden is? Gothenburg?
I apologize.
Stockholm?
No, I swear it's like Gothenburg.
It's not Stockholm?
Listen, it's
Stockholm.
Like, it's not like COVID has disappeared in these countries. Like, KHL, a team had how many cases? I think.
Yeah, but Russia's like terrible.
No, I understand, but like,
I mean, though, it's like, I wonder, they're in a situation where they have a hockey league. Like, they're in that.
Right. Absolutely. But like, it's not like COVID's disappeared. Like, I still think all these leagues have strict precautions. And if I'm the NHL, again, I look at what those hockey leagues are doing and say, okay, like, how do we take that and bring it here?
No, I was going to ask him, like, but the States, but I don't think we need to get into another argument.
It was great until Alex Killorn celebrated.
Yeah, Tampa was already crowded. Like, Gothenburg is in Sweden. It's not. Stockholm's the capital. There's someone from Gothenburg, and it's annoying me. And I thought it was Hedman, but no, he's from someplace I can't pronounce.
Oh.
It's ridiculous.
Is it Jakob Markstrom?
Is it?
Because we talked about him a lot in this show.
That's true.
We'll
We
figure
did.
it out. You know what? I'll find it out right now.
But yeah, like I think there's going to be guys who, Adam's right, do go to Europe, and I mean it's going to be a league to watch. I know the KHL is on DAZN. I just don't want to pay extra for DAZN, if I'm being honest. But yeah, like I think there's going to be a group of tier 3 and the lower end of these quote unquote tier 2 guys who do end up in Europe.
John Klingberg, Tim Heed, Christian Gies, Louis Eriksson, Daniel Alfredson are all from Gothenburg.
Oh.
That's where we got it.
Gothenburg. You probably see it like Gothenburg. I'm not
Sure.
trying to be. That was terrible. Oh, you know what else is a really big problem with NHL 21, by the way,
There we
Daniel?
go. Let's hear it.
So I showed this to Alex, and when the roster update came, he confirmed that they hadn't changes. If you go and look at Keith Kincaid, his profile picture is not him. It's Henrik Lundqvist's brother.
Oh, Joel Lundqvist?
Yeah.
Oh.
And like, it's funny because the moment I saw it, I'm like, because obviously, like I like Lundqvist because he's a good goalie and he's incredibly handsome, right? And like I knew he had a twin brother, and the moment I'm like, that's not Keith Kincaid. He's
the third brother.
man.
I had to do a
That is-
double take.
That is Henrik Lundqvist's brother.
What's his rating, by the way, in the game, Keith Kincaid?
81.
Oh, I don't even know.
81?
81. Again,
This
another
guy was
guy.
in the NHL last year.
Another guy they did not do their work on.
What's Henrik
That was-
Lundqvist?
Arizona keep winning the division too in that game, and I'm like, what's going on here? And they don't. You know what else is dumb? They don't have the 1920 season. They don't have Tampa winning the cup in the bubble.
They have the awards though, right? In
No,
mind,
the
they
awards
do.
are there, yeah, but it's just
But,
1920 isn't there.
You break the lamp again.
I was gonna. Okay, we incorporated that. All right, so finally we have like the Habs. They signed Gooley. That's all they've done. That's it. So we get to focus on the Leafs for a little bit here, and I want to save the JT stuff for last because God, it's frustrating even for like as a Habs fan. Like, guys, shut up. Like shut up, guys. Though I think we got to talk about the signing news here. Arbitration, it stops. It doesn't happen between the Soup Boy.
That was kind of,
is it Mikheyev or Mikheyev?
Mikheyev, I think.
Mikheyev.
Last episode, I was a little tired, so it things weren't coming out of my mouth.
We just said
properly.
Ilya.
I think we were all a bit. Yeah, the cutie soupy boy. The soup boy,
Ilya.
Mikheyev, though, he has re-signed with the Leafs. And I want to get, Alex, your initial reaction, because I know that we had a lot of discussions on and off the show about this guy. And it's nice to see that they avoided arbitration because that can do damage on a relationship there.
It was very unfortunate he didn't go to arbitration because I had reporting sports today. So I was hoping the news would break in the middle of class and just slide that in the chat. But unfortunately it didn't. So I couldn't do that. But yeah, like I think, I was thinking about what I was saying the last few episodes about Ilya Mikheyev, and maybe I was being a bit tough on him. I think what I was trying to get across is what the arguments from the Leafs side of things was going to be in terms of, listen, like he wasn't invisible, but he wasn't as noticeable in those 5 games against the Blue Jackets as he necessarily was during those 39 regular season games. Now he was on pace for, I believe, around 50 points. In 39 games, I believe he had 23 points. So I think I think it's very important that he got that second year, because you don't really know what you have. Like, you know what you have, but you don't really know what you have because you only had 39 games of Ilya Mikheyev. Now, if he ends up being what he was for those 39 games, that number could potentially actually be a steal. And then you have that second year under contract where, man, like, that's a better steal, essentially. Whereas if you're on a 1-year deal, you already don't know what you have in Mikheyev, but you kind of do. But what if he doesn't perform? And then if he performs, then you have to pay him more next summer when Hyman and Anderson are up, and now you're even in bigger cap issues. But so I think that second year was important. I want to pull up this tweet from JD Bunkus because I know I had just started listening to Leafs Hour this morning, or from this morning, comparing Mikheyev and Kapanen. Mikheyev at 1.65 over the next 2 years versus Kapanen at 3.2 is an absolute no-brainer. And I'll tell you why I absolutely agree with that. Ilya Mikheyev, can play in the top 6 if you need him to play. When I think we talked about it, the reason I thought that Dubas getting a first-round pick for Kapanen was so impressive is that on this team, it felt impossible for him to really fit in the top 6. So I think Ilya Mikheyev at 1.65 is great value. Now we got some guy in the comments, and Anthony Stewart, who got a little ratioed, saying Kapanen at 3.2 is better than Nylander at 6.9, with the ability to lock in true number one right-handed defenseman. And I couldn't disagree more with that. But I'm not going to disrespect Anthony Stewart because I have respect for Anthony Stewart. There's guys I don't have respect for that I would ultimately trash.
I just want to say like 2 things there. First of all, like I like Anthony Stewart. I've been hard on the show, but I do like him, and I like a lot of the work he's done with junior hockey and that. Doing his own team, emphasizing the details. It's like, he's a realist. He's like, you know what? Not everyone's going to be an NHL star, but if you can play the style of a guy like Zach Hyman, you know what, guys, there's a real chance. I do genuinely like the guy.
So do I.
But it's like, I mean this in the most respectful way possible. Shut up about trading William Nylander. Shut up, please. Please stop it. And second of all, I really hope that during the negotiations, I really, really hope that Ilya Mikheyev took a second and thought about, you know what? When he got hurt and Kyle Dubas was with him at the hospital, I think that goes a long way. Like that's a genuine person there, and I think it goes. Like I think that should stick with you. I think that should show like that's how this is a general man, a player's type of GM.
Yeah.
Right. I think, and again, like everything there is to playing in Toronto with the facilities and all that, like what helps them bring in these type of free agents and that. There's a human being and there's a heart there, which I think it goes miles in my opinion.
And I believe he did say the report was that he did take a little bit less than originally what he was asking for.
Mm-hmm. Like, I just that's how arbitration normally is. It's really just it's a tactic, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I think it happened with Galchenyuk in Montreal, and they got it sorted out right before. It's just it's different unless you're like Josh Anderson in Columbus and like Jacob Trouba in Winnipeg. But sorry, Daniel, you're thinking on Mikheyev. Another Dan Milstein client.
Yeah.
Another Russian guy, but like a nice affordable deal for the Leafs and a guy who can fit in the top 6, play with Tavares and whatnot.
I think just another, pat on the back for Kyle Dubas for getting this done, for getting him at that cap hit.
Daniel, I told you last episode, no pats on the back for Kyle Dubas. We're gonna get attacked, okay?
Okay.
No pats on the back.
Yeah. But yeah, I think he's a guy where Alex said it perfectly. He's a guy that could fit in the top 6 if needed. He's someone that, despite the injury, has really proven himself to be part of this team. He meshes really well, and I don't think that there's that expectation that we kind of put on Kasperi Kapanen. I think the one thing we really had that expectation on him was the fact that, do you remember when Nylander didn't sign, they had Kapanen on the Matthews line saying, right, hey, we don't need Nylander. We have Kapanen. This thing's going okay. But then when you kind of take him out of that, that's when he kind of regressed back into like what we think that he is. And the improvement wasn't really there. I think with Mikheyev, there is a bit of that lower risk, with that cap hit. There's a bit of, this is a guy that could go to the bottom 6. We don't have to have too much expectations on him, and we're not paying him over $3 million to kind of just be a bottom 6 winger.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna be a bottom six winner on this team.
Yeah, on the projection side, yeah.
What Ilya brings to the team, he can play in the top six, Alex and Daniel, and having that extra year, it's good for the player and the team. Uncertain times and security for the player, millions of dollars. I mean,
I didn't know Kyle Dubas was a Ryerson Rams alumni.
Go Rams. There's actually a deep connection between Sault Ste. Marie, and I may have put my Kyle Dubas glasses on. I haven't done that in a while.
No,
you haven't.
You didn't talk about the numbers.
Well, sometimes with the way our team played, I'm like, right now, I'm like, I want to swear so badly, but I can't. Like, forget about the numbers for a second. And you know what?
Don't tell me.
I just want Wayne Simmons to punt someone in the face.
I thought he was going to bring up Cody Ceci. I thought Adam GM Kyle Dubas, Cody Ceci.
I thought he played well for us.
Stop it.
And I think, guys, that Josh Levo would be a nice, solid addition to this team as well. Bring him back, Alex. Don't you agree?
I know I put it in there, and then I've been thinking about it, and I just don't know necessarily where he fits. But I really do think if you put that guy in this team now, I think he'd be an interesting fit under Sheldon Keefe. It's unfortunate it didn't work out with Babs. But it'd be I feel like in this market that maybe he'd be a cost-effective guy. But I think the bottom six just seems so tangled up now. Like you literally have VC, Simmons, Thornton, Spezza, Kerfoot, Engvall, Barabanov. That's 8 guys. That's 8 guys, and I feel like I'm Robertson just gonna try. I don't necessarily think that's gonna happen this year, but that's 9 guys right there fighting for 6 spots. So maybe my Josh Levo thing was a little over the top.
Hey, we need talking points, like badly now. We're trying our best to stick to 2 episodes a week. And I mean, do you guys have any more midterms?
I just have one, but it's next week.
Daniel?
I'm just perpetual story days every day for me right now. Like, to be honest.
At least you're used to it. So, like, school-wise, we're not that bad. I don't know about you guys, but I don't have any exams. So, we're going to try and keep it going here. I might get a bit shorter episodes. But Daniel,
you might go on random tangents on random things, but that's okay.
Yeah. I mean,
that's always fun.
Yeah, I don't have my I left my tie in Montreal, otherwise I put it on.
It's okay. We'll wait for you. We'll wait here and then just go get it.
Daniel and I can fill the podcast time. So
yeah, we'll take it 12 hours?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, all right.
God. So, Daniel, do you have anything to say about Josh Levo? Just a quick.
I really liked him. Like, I think I always have these types of stories, but I grew up in a way watching him on the Marlies. I remember it was funny. I went to this game. I think it was against the Rochester Americans, and it was 0-0 up until the shootout. And until like Josh Levo did this like wicked deke, and he won it for the Marlies. But I remember that game. Like, that was the only game I've ever gone to for a shootout, and it was 1-0.
You know what's funny? The first NHL game I ever went to, it was called the ACC at the time, now Scotiabank Arena. Montreal were up 2-0, blew it, but they won in the shootout. Lars Eller got the shootout winning goal, had an assist, and was the first star.
Oh. Yeah. What was your first game, Alex?
Yeah, Alex, what was your first game?
I remember I don't remember what year it was. I want to say 2008. I'd have to double check with my dad though. We were sitting in the 300s. It was the Leafs versus the Blackhawks, and I remember that very vividly.
Did they win?
That I don't remember. Probably not, though. I don't think so. The first few years, every time I went to go see them, they lost.
Can I tell you my first Leaf game?
Yeah, go ahead.
It was the Leafs and the Vancouver Canucks.
Okay.
The Leafs, I remember they lost 6-1. Andrew Raycroft was in it.
Of course.
His tweet the other day was amazing.
Hey, at least he knows.
Just to add more Leafs stuff here. When that first game I went to, when the Leafs tied it up, I think I've told you guys, but just on the show because I don't know if I have. Carlton the Bear was near me, and he came up and he patted me on the back to see if it was okay. So I who doesn't love polar bears? So Carlton the Bear is a great guy. Even nice to lonely Habs.
Was that when you knew you were no longer a boy, but you became a man?
When
I knew
Carlton
I
the
was a
Bear.
man. My joys of being a child left when PK Subban got traded.
Really?
And I realized it was like there's no joy.
Mine was when
By the
Paul
way,
Correa signed with the
that
Avalanche.
that dude is like partying in that, and I see like the stuff he's putting on. I'm like, man, that's not your circle. That's not just you and Lindsay and your dogs. But seriously, to end the show.
Wait, quickly, I have a signing.
Oh, okay.
It's
Go ahead.
Devin Shore,
Okay.
Nick Shore's brother, Leafs
Cool.
former player, to the Carolina Hurricanes, $700K 1 year. That's it. I just wanted to
I
say.
hate Carol. You know who had a really good draft? Carolina. They had
Yeah,
a
they
lot.
did.
They I hate how I say I hate them, but then you watch them play and you're like, oh, I love these guys.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, Drew Shore, not Devin Shore. I don't know who Drew Shore is.
I don't know. Think anyone knows.
Uh,
I just remember there's one Shore that the Ducks traded for Sonny Milano, but I can't remember which Shore it was.
that was, I believe that's
Nick. I think
no,
Nick.
that's Devin. I believe it
Devin?
was
Okay.
Devin.
Nick, Devin, Brendan, Stahl.
Yeah, it was Devin. It was Devin Shore.
Okay.
I love how there's 5 names in hockey. But like seriously, in like 20 years, how many Stahls are there gonna be?
A lot of them.
Who was the one that didn't make it?
Jared.
Yeah.
Jared,
Jared.
Jordan, Eric,
Mark.
Okay, cool. Okay, guys, I didn't think that. I don't know why I keep getting surprised by this, but when I look at the Leafs, and I think of anyone on the show, I was the happiest with the Joe Thornton signing, even though I don't want the Leafs to win because I root for another team. So
That's not good.
I can't. I mean, I know. Sorry. I'm impartial, and I don't care. Let me just cover everything up
Yeah.
behind you. You don't.
This is a
let me get-
Leafs fans only podcast.
Let me get my tattoo removed. Though, like, I didn't think that bringing in Joe Thornton, a guy who, in all respect, had his captaincy stripped of him, was going to be a question of Jonathan Tavares. And John Tavares is
Timothy.
I just realized. I'm so sorry, Alex. Wait, what?
I was gonna say Jimothy. I don't know if you've seen The Office. He goes, Jim. Can I call you Jimothy?
By the way, I'm really sorry, Alex. I'd said I'd like let you handle this segment, but then I just
No, go ahead. It doesn't matter. I'll get my words in. Don't worry. You know that. You know that.
I have done over 100 of these with you. When I just didn't think that Joe Thornton coming in was going to be like, I didn't know people were going to take it the route of John Tavares as a terrible leader and she'd be thrown to the wolves.
Here's the thing. I'm not. Okay.
Okay, get comfortable. I like when you say, here's the thing.
Here's the thing. Listen, I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised. Right? Like, I act surprised a little bit for the show. Like, listen, when Steve Simmons or whoever hell else says William Nylander should be traded, like, it's not a surprise to me. But I love overreacting to it. Like, what can I say? I have the feeling we actually had this discussion on the show before, like in the middle of a season when they were talking about trading William Nylander. But I don't understand why we have to, like, it's $700,000. Like, are you kidding me? Like, get a life. Honestly, if that's what you're complaining about, go get a life somewhere else. This is it's a joke, man. It's a joke. The guy's making $700,000. He's probably gonna play fourth line center, if that. If he's probably not gonna be a consistent fourth line center every night because the schedule is gonna be jam packed because they want to play 82 games in 5 months. What are you complaining about? What?
I think, like, ladies and gentlemen listening, I think this is the Alex that I like when I go into a lecture hall and I'm like, Alex, how are you? And he's like, Adam. Like, this is the Alex that I really, really know.
Remember lecture halls?
Oh God, do I? There's show Adam and then there's podcast Adam, right? There's Alex who is podcast Alex and there is like lecture hall Alex. And of course, when we come on the show, we try and sound as professional as possible, right? And it's like we don't do that BS of being a character, right? Like we're ourselves,
Sometimes.
but like we will very much kind of like I think Alex is much more like straight line of like this is like how it actually kind of works, and I go off of a more like yeah, but heart and soul, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like Alex is like real thinking about it. I'm like yeah, but Joe Thornton has a beard, and he'll be like yeah, he's a good fourth line presence. And what we just kind of heard was like that's like Alex like just really genuine being like guys like this is just dumb. You just be happy.
But
And
think
I
of, like,
haven't seen it because we've been doing the show for so long and we haven't been in school. It's like oh this there was my journalism Alex friend again.
I did
I'm
it
like,
the other night too. I did when
yeah.
we were talking with Mike. I go like, here's an idea: play Jeff Skinner with Jack Eichel. I don't know, like I'm not an NHL coach. I'm just some smart ass in front of a microphone. Like that's what it is at the end of the day. But to literally complain about to say, first off, I don't understand where the criticism comes about Joe Thornton. He's gonna like Steve Simmons made it seem to be like the guy's not an NHLer. Literally,
1,000 assists. And he was still an effective player. Like, who do you think has been Kevin LeBank's? Like, a lot of the time, Kevin LeBanc is playing with Joe Thornton.
it's honestly, fine. I'll take the William Nylander trade thing. You know what? That's your thing. I understand. This is just a load of baloney. It's very clear who's what's the word I'm looking for? It's very clear who doesn't like Kyle Dubas and who's perfectly in, like, not perfectly in the middle, but more neutral than biased. Like, it's so clear. What were the things that the media said the Leafs need to do, including these guys who are bitching and complaining? More leadership.
They needed to get needed to get
go ahead.
tougher to play against. They need maybe that calming thing in the room to help them lead them to the promised land in a sort of way. They needed like veteran presence, someone who's been there before. Face punchiness, that kind of
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They needed to play. They needed guys that were tougher to play against. They needed a defenseman, and they needed to get rid of someone to fit everything together. They traded Kapanen for a first-round pick. What did they say? Oh, they could have done this. Name me one other team that would have gotten a third-line winger for a first-round pick.
Tampa Bay, and that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
They got who am I missing? They got TJ Brody. Oh, TJ Brody's like Jake Gardner. Honestly, get a life. And now it's Wayne Simmons, Zach Bogosian, Joe Thornton. Like, yes, Joe Thornton isn't Wayne Simmons, Zach Bogosian tough to play against, but he is a big body.
He's a dad.
What is it that you need Kyle Dubas to do to not? I don't even want you to praise him. I don't even want praising, because that's worse. I want you to say, you know what, this isn't that bad.
How does he, how does he get a check mark in your box?
Right.
That's kind of what you're,
I have the answer for you. I figured it out.
Just quickly, sorry, just because I'm looking at the clock and I realized, Daniel, you have to go in 9 minutes.
Mm-hmm. I'll be quick.
Yeah,
Daniel, go. Sorry, Daniel, go.
Daniel, I feel bad because I'm looking at it like, oh crap, you have to go. Is there anything you want to kind of put some whipped cream on this brownie on top of vanilla ice cream?
I think at the end of the day, when it comes to media, there's always going to be things that they try to make stories out of non-stories, where you kind of view it in a way that how you view that you think that you're giving constructive criticism just doesn't really have any base, and you try to make something out of that. I think not just from a fan perspective, but from being objective about it. I think that Kyle Dubas really, in a way, kind of addressed what the Leafs wanted. And I'm not saying that, he's at the promised land already. He has the cup, but I'm saying that he saw what the deficiencies were. He saw where the things kind of lagged, and he added it. Like, it is what it is. It's not like what do you do? Like, TJ Brody was your biggest spend, and I think that was a necessary spend. And then you go around and get these guys that, again, Alex said, the base is what, a million and a half, like 700,000. It's nothing that's, it's low risk, high reward. And I think the Leafs are in a lot of they're in a better situation than by a mile than what they had against Columbus. So
Yeah.
I don't know where the criticism's coming now. So I think we just need to be happy, and we need to kind of say, we like this team. We like the composition of it. And, if people want to have their sour grapes, they can.
So firstly, to comment on what Daniel said, the team is not more skillful. It is tougher to play against, right? So what it lost in skill, they gained in tougher to play against. That's my opinion. And I think that's what the team needed. It's not constructive criticism. It's being an absolute baby. That's what it is. It's so clear. Word for word, like they literally did what you said to do, and you're still complaining about it. There's one answer to what they want. It's Tom Wilson. How many times have I said it on this show? There is one Tom Wilson, and that is it. There is one guy in this league who will take your head off and be productive. Now, Josh Anderson is a very close second, but still, there's no one who will murder someone like Tom Wilson and be productive on the ice. No one. Mm-hmm. I don't have anything else to say about Joe Thornton, but quickly on the Tavares criticism, I think that's a BS move, honestly. Oh, Duncan, I don't necessarily think they need Duncan Keith. Too much leadership.
And once again, they also won with Kimmo Timonen on that team, who used to be a captain of the Nashville Predators in 2013.
That's a good name.
Who needs Zdeno Chara? Too much leadership on that team.
They have on top of what he brings, you now have the old guy who needs a cup, which is that's a recipe for success. Sure. Success all the time is you need to get that. You need to get that guy.
Well, what's another team? Let me pull this up. Like I don't know what else to say, man. Like it's such a ridiculous idea that they bring in a guy for $700,000. Number one, you complain about it, like get a life, and number two, it questions John Tavares' leadership. I've never heard a single human being ever say that there's too much leadership in a room.
Like, yeah, if you look at past teams that have won, there's always been like multiple quote unquote captains on it. Like, again, if I use the Ducks as an example, like Scott Niedermayer didn't win it his first year with Anaheim, 2006. And then they go out and get Chris Pronger and Brad May. And like Brad May used to be a captain of the Sabres, and it's kind of the same thing.
You know what? The Lightning don't need Pat Maroon, right? Too much leadership in that room. It's not worth it.
They don't need Ryan McDonough.
Oh God, they don't need Sergachev. They don't need. You know what? They should trade Braden. That's another reason you should trade Stamkos, because you don't need the captain.
You don't need the leadership. You know what?
Just give it to Hedman. It's ridiculous. Right, guys. We'll end it here because Daniel needs to be gone in 4 minutes, and also we want to encourage him to not be late, even though he was on the call before me today. Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, as always, for listening to the show. If you enjoyed it, what do you mean? If you enjoyed it, you did enjoy it. Check out the YouTube portion, of course, video. See our beautiful faces, our good lighting, the bad lighting, all that type of stuff. And then while you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Tell us who do you think is going to stand out of the World Juniors this year. Subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify, anywhere you listen to the show, we're on it. Also, check out my YouTube channel for Hap stuff. Woo! Check out Alex's blog. Check out everything Daniel does. Period.
Yeah.
On the Ryerstonian. Check out the newest episode of 31 Thoughts, which Daniel freaking contributed to.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You can say that because it's public. It's like public, right?
Yeah.
Like your name is on 31 Thoughts. Your name is in the description, and we are very proud of you for that. By the way, that is amazing. Voice said, thank you as always for being a great platform for the show, ladies and gentlemen. We will see you next episode.
Yeah.
Where we'll talk about something.
Well, we have a special guest.
Oh God, yeah, we have Harmon. I forgot.
Yeah, Harmon Dial coming back to talk about the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah.
Could be very interesting.
It's a big deal.
It is a big deal. It's a bloody big deal.
Bloody big deal. Great.
Okay.
Good.